Hi, my name is Jenny Lauren Dowden for Conduit News, and today we have Dr. Patrick Wolf joining us in the studio. Today, he is here to debunk another popular myth regarding school choice. Hey, thanks for being here with us again today.
Happy to be here, Jenny.
This one is particularly interesting, I think, because it is one that is commonly said, especially right now, as we're going into the session here in Arkansas with so many rural communities. School choice is bad for rural communities and those schools. True or false?
That's definitely false. It's like so many cases when we consider school choice, it helps the participants, it helps the non-participants, and it helps the community, even in rural areas.
So talk to us about that. How is that possible? Many people or opponents of school choice would say that's not even feasible. It doesn't make sense. Majority of these families in these rural communities aren't even going to be able to get their kid to a particular private school of their choosing if this were to pass.
So it starts with that myth that there are no private schools in rural areas. The Brookings Institution did a study, a national study in 2017. They found that 69% of families who live in rural communities are within 10 miles of a private school.
Wow.
10 miles is easy commuting distance, especially when you live out in the sticks like I do. So the overwhelming majority of families in rural areas do have access to private schools. So that myth is totally debunked by the facts. And the other thing that happens when school choice programs are launched statewide is more private schools spring up because there's a greater opportunity to serve students. So when you increase the demand for school choice by making it more feasible to more families, supply emerges to meet that demand. It's just straight economics.
Well, so then tell us, why is this also a very popular myth? I would say this one is up there, particularly here in Arkansas, because we do have so many rural communities. And a lot of lawmakers really want to protect their area where they are, their community, and they say that school choice will hurt their community. So if we know that the data is there to support school choice and the private schools are within reach, how do we navigate around that?
So a source of the concern is the fact that rural communities are afraid to lose their population. They're afraid of losing population, losing social capital. They feel that their traditional public school system, their school district, is one of the few sources to really unify the community and hold people and families there. But let's look at Florida.
Yeah. We continue to go to Florida. Arkansas, Florida.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's cold today, so let's go to Florida.
Right.
Florida was the first state to have a statewide school choice program. This was back in 2001. And Florida includes a lot of rural communities. So if we look at the 30 rural counties in Florida and what happened to them after school choice went statewide in 2001, the number of private schools in those 30 rural counties nearly doubled from 69 to 120. So that's supply popping up to meet demand. The percentage of students enrolled in the district-run public schools in those communities dropped, but only by a little bit. It went from 89% to 83%. So even after school choice was widely available to parents and new private schools sprung up in their rural communities, still 83% of the students decided to enroll in the district-run public schools. So that's just a trivial drop in the percentage going to the district-run public schools. But here is the kicker. The total number of students in rural communities attending district-run public schools in Florida is higher now than it was 20 years ago before choice was launched.
So tell us why.
It's because the availability of school choice attracts families to rural communities. One of the main reasons why families with school-age children, more families with school-age children don't live in rural communities is because they won't have school choice. And so if you bring school choice to rural communities, you will attract more families to those areas, and you actually increase the population
which is
of the rural area.
completely opposite of the argument.
It is. It is. It removes one of the major concerns about
Right.
parents. It's like, yes, I'd love to live in a rural community, all that space and nature and affordability and sense of community. But if the district-run public school isn't a good fit for my child, I'm stuck.
Right.
Well, you eliminate that concern, and families flood into rural areas and boost the economy and grow the community.
Yeah.
It creates a rising tide that lifts all boats.
Yeah. So talk to us then about those. So what the data shows in Florida, we're seeing it does a complete opposite, because they say, well, school choice, it will close these schools, or area schools will have to consolidate, and this is not what's best for our community. And the data says quite the opposite.
It does. It says if you want to increase the student counts in your district-run public school, then embrace and support school choice.
And then, so these rural families, let's say they're the families who have not moved to the area because they're school choice, but they're rural families who are there in those counties, small communities. They don't have school choice yet. Are they wanting school choice? Are the numbers there to show that this is something that even those who are there in the rural communities right now, they want school choice in that area?
School choice is popular in rural communities. It's not as popular there as it is in urban cities, because the urban areas tend to have more district-run public schools that have problems.
Yeah.
But a majority of parents in rural communities support school choice.
Yeah.
They want to have those options in case things aren't working out for their kids. And if you enact those options statewide, including in rural areas, it attracts families to
right. It's a positive thing on all, like in all ways. It's a win-win for the communities, for the parents, for the kids. I don't see, honestly, how you can be an opponent of school choice.
It is hard. You have to accept a lot of things that aren't true.
That's crazy. Okay. Well, if you are a lawmaker, a policymaker, you're heading into the session in January, and this is something that you are particularly hearing from superintendents or teachers unions, or you know how it works. What would you say to that lawmaker if they are hearing this message bombarded to them, particularly going into the session?
I would say school choice will be a good thing for your constituents. It'll be a good thing for your community. And they will reward you. Voters will reward you for supporting school choice. Yeah. It's popular in general. It's popular even in rural areas. And people like it even more after they experience it than they do. So it's even better in reality than it is in concept. And it's really popular in concept. Right. To begin with.
Well, anything else that you would add about this particular myth before we let you go?
Yes. The other thing we've learned about what happens when school choice comes to rural communities is there's really a real dynamic interplay between the district-run schools and the private schools. There's this sense of all of our children need to be supported in their education in the community. There's tremendous collaboration between the district and the private schools serving us children in the choice program. And it's not like choice divides the community. Choice grows the community.
Who wouldn't want that?
I do.
Me too. Well, listen, and I know a lot of my friends who want to move to those, like you said, country, small area, kind of get out of the city a little bit. And if that were an option, I guarantee you a lot of families would be flooding those smaller areas. But then the people who live there might be like, wait a second. Anyway, hey, thank you so much. We really enjoy having you on Conduit. Look forward to you being back.
You're welcome.